Some pretty incredible moments there, John, as we take this all in. This is an update from the Chicago police, obviously contradicting the audio that we heard, the dispatch audio, of the moment that the Chicago PD were told to stand down on helping those ICE officers when they were under attack. Here's about 13 seconds of that dispatch audio, John.
And again, per the chief of patrol, we have all the units that per 999, chief of patrol said all units clear out from there. We're not sending anybody over to that location.
All right, so Jonathan Fahey, former acting ICE director, is still with us, and we're also joined by Chicago Fraternal Order of Police President John Catanzara. John, thanks very much for being with us. I wanted to bring this to your attention, John, because there seems to be a discrepancy here, a 41-minute hole between the time that the call went out from CPD for assistance, from CBP to assistance from the Chicago Police Department to when, quote, additional units were rolled out there. We also have, and let's put this up, this is call for number 5 here. This is the computer-aided dispatch system. At the bottom of the screen, because the timeline increases as you go further up, caller is one of approximately 30 armed Border Patrol agents who are being surrounded by a large crowd of people requesting CPD. A number of minutes later, at 12:34, Chief of Patrol, no units will respond to this. And then as we just heard from the superintendent, John, at 1:09, units were rolled. So could it be that units were told not to respond and then later were dispatched to respond?
Could it be? That's factually what happened. And the reality is somebody's lying here, whether it's the Chief of Patrol or Unit 999. And I could tell you, I personally know that lieutenant, and he has an impeccable record. On the other hand, the Chief of Patrol, not so much. He's been notorious for lying and stomping on anybody to get to where he's gotten to this point. Do I think he gave that order? Absolutely. And I think the lieutenant was just relaying what that phone call reiterated to him to not send anybody over there, because sadly, this department is in literally a shell of itself and so fearful of what politicians and this mayor are going to do to them if they respond. Every single citizen, the sanctity of life is what this city supposedly cares about. That doesn't discriminate between civil law enforcement. If someone's calling for help, we are obligated to go. And this person should be taken out of his basically assignment right now, stripped of his police powers and removed from command. He has no business wearing a badge.
John, can I just follow up real quickly there? Just what was your response to how you just heard this all characterized directly from the Chicago PD there with the lieutenant speaking?
Damage control. I mean, you look at, he just said we will have more clarity on that conversation between the Chief of Patrol and the lieutenant tomorrow. 72 hours later, it's not that complicated. The Chief of Patrol could have already answered, and you certainly could have got the lieutenant's version of the story and made a statement. But it's all about damage control at this point, because they know they wet the bed, and this guy has been a cancer to this department, and the superintendent is doing whatever he can to protect him, and shame on him for that. But this needs to stop. John High needs to be removed. He is an embarrassment to this department and this profession.
All right, let's put the question to Jonathan Fahey then of this timeline here. And let's put that graphic back up at the screen of the computer-aided dispatch system. Again, at 12:28:55, the call goes out. Caller is one of approximately 30 armed Border Patrol agents, ICE, who are being surrounded by a large crowd of people requesting CPD. About 6 minutes later, word goes out. Chief of Patrol, no units will respond to this. And then we find out that 35 minutes after that, units finally were rolled. John, you're ICE, you're out there on the front lines, you're CBP, you're being surrounded by a group of unruly protesters. Vehicles have been crashed into. One person has been shot who was trying to do violence to these federal officers. And it takes 41 minutes for the police to get hit there. What are you thinking? John.
Yeah, that's the amazing thing about it. If they were in danger, they could have all been dead, or other people could have been dead or hurt or killed. And it's really shocking when you hear this statement. But the big takeaway here is this really is an endorsement of bringing in more federal resources to Chicago, because clearly they can't handle difficult situations. And it's also another thing, sort of a side takeaway, but it's kind of interesting. There was somebody shot, and within 2 hours, Chicago PD was done dealing dealing with it. That should be a big deal, but it shows how many shootings they have. That a shooting in Chicago is only worthy of a couple hours of police time is also shocking. But the other thing that is interesting, this superintendent clearly says that these sanctuary policies, he talked about the Trust Act and another act, interfere with their ability to not only do their jobs, but also interfere with their ability to cooperate with federal law enforcement. So again, another really condemnation of sanctuary city policies from this officer. So all these things speak really poorly of the Chicago PD and really well of what Donald Trump is trying to do here.
Let's bring in Mike Tobin now. Stand by if you could for us.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.